What's up guys? Today we are looking at the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. So the big question is this phone still good in 2022? So just a quick history on this phone. Previously, I've been an avid iPhone user. So from the phones that I've owned previously, ranging from the iPhone 4, 4S, 5, 6S, and the 12. And especially with the newer iPhones like the 12, I found the lack of a fingerprint. Well, these are the reasons why I've switched from iPhone to Samsung. I just was kind of sick of the ecosystem of Apple and their iPhones. So the lack of the fingerprint was one of the reasons. Obvious, the issues with the front camera with the mustache on the top, it was just something that aesthetically was not pleasing for me. And the battery life as well, especially with like the most used phone that I used was the iPhone 6S, and I believe that battery was 2000 milliamps, maybe 1800 milliamps. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but the battery life was just abysmal after a couple of years of use. So I bought this phone on CEX. I don't know how you pronounce it. You can correct me in the comments. Is it CEX or CEX? I bought this around the beginning of 2020. I bought it secondhand. The description was it was the 4G version with 256 gigabytes internal memory in Aura Black, and it was unlocked in the B grade category, so it wasn't an A grade, so it would be a very good as opposed to excellent. And I found that the condition of it was very, very, very good. This is from 2 years of use, but I usually use this case to protect it, but yeah, it was very good. There was no scratches on the cameras. The buttons were good. The screen was impeccable. I mean, the person that had this before must have used screen protector religiously. And there was no issues with the S Pen either. It was perfectly fine. With the nib, I don't know if they replaced the nib, but it was fine. So that was good on that part. So what did I get? So just like quick CEX review. So I traded in my old phone, got some vouchers, and I bought it for 620 euros, which is, in terms of the second-hand market, it was okay. It wasn't the best, but it was okay. So in the box, you would get a charging cable, USB-C charging cable, USB-A, and then you'd get this adapter to plug into the wall, and the phone itself, and that's all you get. Yeah, that is it. But it was a decent phone, and experience with CEX had no issues with them. They were fine. They sent it out pretty quickly within the past, I think it was 5 business days shipping, and I got it on time. Let's go over the specs, and I'll talk about some good and bad points of the Samsung phone in 2022. So first of all, we have a giant 6.8-inch screen, and you know Samsung makes some of the best smartphone screens, and this screen is no different. And comparing it from going from the smaller iPhones, this was a breath of fresh air. Like my hands are a little bit above average, and it fits very nice in my hands. I can operate it one-handed, not an issue. The display itself, it's very sharp, it's smooth, and it's bright, and it works well in direct sunlight. It comes with a Snapdragon 855 Plus with an Adreno 650 CPU. It comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM, plenty of memory for running multiple apps. Yeah, I had no issues running multiple apps. Like if I have loads of social media apps and stuff like that, and running browser, YouTube and stuff like that, it was running fine. The internal storage is 256 gigabytes, and this is more than enough, and it's still above par in today's smartphone range. I've noticed that with the new series of Samsung phones, it's I think 128 gigabytes with no expandable storage. So this one is expandable. Expandable part is at the top here. Just use the pin to pop that out. You can put in a single SIM with the memory, or if you want to use the double SIM card, you cannot expand the memory. But with 256 gigabytes, it is plenty. So this is great coming from iPhone, because iPhone, I was stuck with 64 gigabyte storage, and it would easily fill up when recording YouTube videos and whatnot. Next is the three main cameras. So we have a dual pixel autofocus, optical image stabilization, 2x optical zoom, a main lens with autofocus tracking, and it does HDR10 plus recordings as well. It has the live focus video recording plus multiple cameras including telephoto camera, ultra wide camera, and you can change the lenses without having to stop recording. So you could record, and if you want to zoom out or zoom in, you can do so while recording. So it's great all around for general recording. So I shoot a lot of my videos the front camera of this, which records at 1080p, and this does 4K video recording. It shoots 4K at 60 frames per second, and it supports super slow motion recording, which I don't really use. The Note 10 can shoot at 1080p at 240 fps or 720p at 960 fps. It also has the zoom microphone. So if you zoom into, so if you're recording and you want to zoom in, actually the setting has to be set in the settings as well. But if there's an object that's far away, you can do so. So this gives you the ability to target an audio source, and also it reduces other background sounds from your recordings, which is really good. Next is the stereo speakers. It includes surround sound with Dolby Atmos technology. Yeah, the stereo speakers was a breath of fresh air because I only had the mono speaker. Yeah, on the iPhone it's the mono speaker at the bottom. The on-screen fingerprint sensor, it allows you to unlock your phone with your fingerprint. I have it set to open on touch. You can store up to 4 fingerprints, and I find it a hit or a miss, but you can also use face recognition. Oh, face doesn't match. Like so, face recognition. Or you can enter a passcode using letters, or just the PIN code using numbers. It has an always on display, which I don't use. The phone can continuously display content such as notifications, calendar events, app information, and certain widgets that you have customized. It has a 4300 milliamp battery. I didn't expect great performance from this, as it was secondhand, but I still get a day's worth of use even after using it for 2 years. I find at the end of the day I still have between 10 and 20% battery before having to charge it. Yeah, and my main use for this phone right now is just browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, social media and whatnot. It supports 45 watt charging, so this allows you to charge your Note 10 in just under 1 hour. It also supports fast wireless charging as well, so it charges from empty in about 2 to 3 hours depending on which charger you use. It is also IP68, waterproof and dustproof. Waterproof, yeah, like I've taken this out in the rain when going on walks, and I take out my phone to check. In terms of rain, it is waterproof. I haven't submerged. I don't want to test it by submerging it in water. Dustproof, I wouldn't say it, the internals are obviously protected. It does gather a lot of fingerprints and dust. So overall, this helps protect your phone from spills or damage from dusty environments. It supports Bluetooth 5.0. It includes the ability to play audio through 2 devices simultaneously. So you can have 2 Bluetooth devices. Like if you wanted some stereo setup with Bluetooth speakers, you can connect to both of them. So there is the 5G option. Unfortunately, I didn't get the 5G version. I don't know if it was available, but I got the 4G version. But it doesn't really matter the country that I'm living in. I usually get the H plus symbol, rarely get 4G working on here. Sometimes get the 3G, but it is what it is. Next is the S Pen. So it does have some additional functionality. It has the air actions and the air doodles, which I don't use. The older features of the S Pen are here. It includes the ability to write on the lock screen, so I can write as, just whatever. And it has the ability to save those handwritten texts. And so I got this secondhand, so it was about the half the price of the new one. But at that time, they discontinued the production of the Note 10, so I can't compare to the prices of the brand new Note 10s at that time. But compared to the original release price, it is just about half of it. Those were, the good things about the Samsung Note 10, but there are obviously some cons. So let's go over the cons. It has good but not great battery life. So the battery is 4,300 milliamps, but the battery life is decent, not spectacular. This is probably due to the large screen. It's 6.8 inch screen, but I dropped the screen resolution to HD plus, which is 720p. I have no need to use 1080p screen. So for what, like the way that I have it set up is the most minimalistic. I opt for performance over high quality, so I do get a day's worth of battery over it. But if you prefer high quality on everything, I don't think you'll last the full day. So it would have been nice to get a 5,000 milliamp battery, but they made the phone itself so damn skinny. Like, it's so skinny. It is so skinny. Like the dimensions of it is 151 millimeters by 71.8 millimeters by 7.9 millimeters. So it is very skinny. What's the best way to show how skinny it is? Trust me, it's skinny. Okay, so the size of this phone. So this phone is on the larger side, but I think the trend now is that big phones are in. So if you have exceptionally larger hands, this is perfect. Like, it fits in your hand. So for those that may have smaller hands, it can be cumbersome to use. You'll always have to hold it with two hands, and it's hard to flick and use the shortcuts and whatnot. It's harder to use that if you do have smaller hands. But for me, it's fine. The next thing that I don't like about the Note 10 is that during that time, a lot of phones were, especially with the iPhone, they got rid of the iPhone jack. I think, was it the 7 or the 8? They got rid of it. I'm not sure because I didn't own those ones. But there's no headphone jack, and this is something that I really hate. Like, I am on team Jerry rigs everything when it comes to this. Like, headphone jack is just, you know, a necessity, especially when shooting videos. I use 3.5 millimeter jack, so you know I have to use the dongle in order for that to work. And the problem is that those dongles don't work. If you look through my videos, I've bought like loads of them, and there was only the one that worked. Just one second, I think I have it here. It was this brand. This was the only one that I got working. And like, I've tried like Ugreen, I've tried everything except for the official Samsung adapters. There's loads of fakes. That's the thing about these adapters. There's loads of fakes around, so you got to be careful when getting a dongle, and they're not cheap. Like, you could probably buy a set of in-ear headphones the same price as these. So yeah, that sucks. The next thing is, like, some people feel that the S Pen is just a gimmick, especially when like the S22 series, they got rid of the Note series and they just call it the S22 Ultra. So some people find that it's just a gimmick, but I would regularly use it for taking notes. You know, it's just that kind of tactile feel. Instead of having to text, you know, use the keyboard with two hands, I just like finding writing just, you know, it's also, you're not bound to just using text and symbols. You can, you know, draw pictures and make notes, or if something is important, you can, you know, have your own symbols or, you know, writing techniques. Everybody's different, but I find note taking useful, so useful with pen. I also use it, this button here, there's a button here, hang on one second, just get a better angle. So there's a button right here, and I use it to take selfies or take pictures, because what I find is that if you're doing a selfie and you're holding it like this, like the camera is here, so I have to be careful, and then the button is on this side, and then when I take the photo, like sometimes I jitter because it's so awkward. But you can hold the phone as comfortable as you like without having to position one of your fingers over the shutter button, I guess, or the volume button. It's hard to press because if you press it, it makes the camera jitter, so you get like a shaky photo. Instead, just activate the pen, press the button, and there you go. Another, just a con of this pen is that the S Pen is always charging. So it always looks for the S Pen, and that affects the battery life of the phone as well. I don't find that it's a huge impact. I always just have it pressed in, and it's not a big con for me, but some people might find it a big con. The next thing is the fingerprint scanner. It just sucks compared to especially compared to the modern phones. Sometimes it works like a charm, and sometimes it just sucks. But what I do to overcome this is just update the fingerprints every now and again with biometrics and securities. So here you have to enter the PIN, but in this section you can add your fingerprint. So just keep adding your fingerprints once a month and you should be fine. The next con is the screen has a refresh rate of 60 Hz. There is a workaround where you can change the motion smoothness to 120 Hz, but it's not a deal breaker for me. 60 Hz is just fine. Next is, I know that with CEX only got this crappy cable and charger, but there's no 45 watt charger included, so you have to go buy one in order. Like, the good thing is that I had one already, but they don't supply one. That could be a con for you. The cameras are decent, but I found that they do not work well in the dark, even with, there's the dark mode setting that you can, let me show you. So if you go to more, there is night, and I find that it's very difficult to get handheld footage in the dark. You need to use a tripod or, you know, have a proper setup to get anything decent in the dark when shooting video or taking photos. Taking photos is not too bad, but with the motion and the video, it was an issue for me. So I don't take night videos very often with this phone. All right, so big question is, should you get the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus in 2022? So if you're on a budget and don't need the top-notch specs of today's smartphone, then this will be a great workhorse phone for just, you know, daily life, work, taking notes, watching videos, casual gaming, not heavy gaming, casual gaming because of the battery life. It would suit you. So every year, Samsung adds something new to their lineup to make it more desirable for customers, but I don't see a huge difference and the need to upgrade. So in terms of functionality and for what I use personally, I don't need to get the S22 series. So with that said, I've actually bought the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G, which you'll see a review in the future. It was mainly for the improved cameras. Kind of, you know, I didn't know about the autofocus issue with the main lens, but in comparison to this phone, it has a 6.9-inch screen, it has the 10 times optical zoom, it has the 108 megapixel camera sensor. I've shot some videos with the S20 and it is miles better than the Note 10 Plus. It's not so good that, you know, the Note 10 Plus is redundant, you know, it's still usable. Like, I use this as my backup for shooting videos and it is fine. Okay, so for the final verdict is, if you plan to use the S Pen, this is a must. There are a dedicated group of S Pen users in the community, and the Note 21 was the last of the Note series, and the Note 10 is a stable smartphone. So if you don't plan on using the S Pen, then it would be better to get the standard range of phones. But they have removed the Note series lineup. They made the S22 Ultra with an S Pen. Not sure why though. I don't know if it was a marketing strategy or was it just to pee off the Note fans. I don't know what Samsung were thinking, but they did it. So for this has served me well for just almost 2 years. Question is, should you buy it, shortlist it, consider it, or avoid it in 2022? I'd say shortlist it. Depending on your budget, you can get this for much cheaper secondhand. It's definitely one to shortlist. All right, so that's the end of the video. If you have any questions or new video ideas, leave it in the comment section down below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.